So, good evening, everyone. As usual, it's a pleasure to be here once again. And tonight we're going to be talking about no fear, be happy. And as you can see in the next slide, there are a few books around. They either, some part of them are kind of the same, but they end up supplementing each other regarding this idea of, yes, we can be happy and have no fear. Go for it. Try it. It's out there. It's here. Actually, it's inside of you. And then we decided to put them together and bring for you tonight kind of a summary. As usual, there's nothing here from me. I'm just the one that's talking to you that read those books and summarized them. Okay. Let's start with this saying from Rumi. I don't know how many of you know him. Of course, not personally. He died long ago. But he left us with some wonderful things. And actually, I have a book of all his sayings. One of them is this one here. It says like this. You have to feel it. It says, out beyond ideas of wrong doing and right doing, there is a field, there is a place. I'll meet you there. Okay. So if you will just allow your imagination to get to that place for a minute, the place that's beyond probably this world, probably this incarnation, for sure. I mean, outside of this planet, where there's peace, there is harmony, there is serenity, and I say, okay, let's meet in that place. So, would you like to meet in a place like that? Would be great, right? Okay, so that's kind of get us started on what could be out there for us if we look for it in the right place. Okay, so from the Spirit's book, we have in question 614, there's a question from Kardec that's going to ask the spirits, and what is it? Natural laws. And the spirits will explain what natural laws are. There are 10. I'm sure you may have either seen it or seen some presentation about it. It's very important. It's not like the 10 Commandments, are 10 natural laws, and the spirits will explain that natural laws are divine laws. And then they finalize by saying, and a man is not happy only when he distances himself from these divine laws. So that puts you in a situation where, if you are going down the river in a little boat, and then on one side, the divine laws, and the other side, chaos. And you have to keep yourself, toward the right bank, which is the divine laws. And to the extent that you lose control over your boat, and you steer to the left and goes to the chaos, you distance yourself from divine laws, and then you're not gonna be happy. Just kind of form an idea here what we're talking about. And then comes in his book, Luca says, to ignore the divine laws is like driving on the roads of life at a high speed in a car without brakes and bad tires. Well, he puts it very dramatically, right? So if you're not guided by the divine laws, then you have to ask yourselves, what guides me and to where? So I think it's a fair question, because yes, we don't have to follow the God's law. He can wait. But if you're not following God's law, whose laws are you following? Maybe you say, okay, you know what, I'm going to create my own laws, but still not God's laws. So that's a very important question and puts things to put things in perspective. Where do you find the road to happiness? Okay. And where should we look for happiness? So, you know, you have the traditional answer: happiness is inside of you, right? Okay, that's still the case. But let's talk a little bit about it. You know, first of all, there is no certainty. You cannot be assured you're going to find a place. You know, you're going to have this encounter with happiness. Particularly if you don't follow certain laws, and those certain laws are the laws of God, the divine laws. You may spend the whole life looking for happiness. You may blame everybody. You may blame your wife. You know, I'm not happy because of you. You find everybody to blame. But one day you're going to stop, and you're going to find, instead of happiness, you're going to find this dilemma, which is this emptiness inside of you. And then I asked a few people what they would understand by emptiness. And if I tell my clients, so I'm going to say these two words for you, and I want you to tell me, how do you feel this? You know, what does it mean to you? So I tried that on a couple of clients. And this is kind of a summarizing what they said. It's a total disconnect with the larger view of life. So you are alive, you are breathing, you are eating, you have money in your bank, you have a nice car, you have a nice job, and have almost everything. But you can't be happy because of this disconnect with the life as it, you know, is meant to be. And it also creates a sense of big sense of confusion inside of you. You know, it's like you have this view of life that's totally blurred, and you cannot tell right from wrong, what went right, what went wrong. You don't know where you are. You don't know where you want to go from here. So what direction should I go from here? You know, am I in the right direction? What should I do next? So that's when you find, instead of happiness, you find this emptiness. And we want to try to avoid it. And of course, we're not here to talk about how to get there. You know, the future, you know, the other slides here are going to tell you some very important steps and questions you may ask yourself to see if you are in the right direction. So it is a state of mind. It's a view of life, and not a specific place or thing. So that we know about happiness. So if that's a state of mind, you know, you're going to waste your time looking for, am I better off here or there, doing this or doing that? Or, you know, as we normally find other people saying, well, I'm going to be happy when I win the lottery, for example, right? Like that way, all my problems are going to go away. Of course, until they find this emptiness. Now, André Luiz, you know, who he is, wrote us, you know, a number of books through Chico Xavier, very fundamental books. And he's going to say, are you facing problems? Don't worry. Expect more. Right? So that's what we can expect living in this world. You don't have to live in this world, right? Yeah, no, we have to. We chose to be here. We just don't know under what circumstances or whatever. Life is an unfolding, you know, in a recapitulation of everything we have to go through. And the good thing is nothing's going to come to you ahead of time, and you're going to always have time to prepare for whatever is to come. You know, if something happens to you, you were not prepared, it's your problem. You have had enough time. It's like when you plant, you know, a tree. The fruit's not going to come ahead of time. They're going to have to wait until it's time for the fruit to come. And that's the way life goes on as well. We have enough time to prepare ourselves, even to be happy. But if you don't, you don't. And you can always restart though. But if you have problems, be prepared for more. As opposed to, because happiness here is, I forgot to say this, when we talk about happiness, we're talking about relative happiness. It's not the happiness of the angels, talking about relative happiness, because we live in a world that's not perfect. There's no perfect happiness, therefore, here. All you can chase and expect and work for is relative happiness. All right, so this, when Jesus said, to each other according to his or her deeds. So what does that mean? So you have to work for everything you want in life. You're not gonna, there's no free lunch. I guess that's what they had in mind when they created this, right? There's no free lunch. We have to work for everything we want. So it's only after you do your 50% that life is going to respond to you. In life, we always respond. You may sometimes miss the answer, or you may not like the answer, or the answer is going to come in due time when you're ready for that. So we have to believe in causality as opposed to something that happened to us by mistake or by choice. I was in the wrong place. Now, we live under this law of action and reaction. Cause and effect, I'm sorry. So, for every effect, there's a cause that preceded that. And it has to do with you, nobody else. You're not paying, for the sins of your parents or your brothers. It's all about you. And problems, they mean solutions. It's hard to accept that, Life is so difficult. I have a lot of problems. And you're saying, well, that's great. I'm very happy that you have problems. Wow, it's kind of weird to think like that, but this is how we fix ourselves, how we grow. It's when an illness might be the way to the cure. It's when the lack of harmony might lead to union. It had to go all the way to the bottom, hit the bottom, cause a lot of harmony for you to say, ooh, we are in the wrong direction. We need to work our issues and accomplish what we want to accomplish as, for example, a couple or a family. Salute. The evil might be the road to the good. Nothing to do with the recent election. This is a different story. But the evil might be the road of the good. Because that's how we learn. We have all the opportunities in this life to learn in the short way, but we like the long way. We like the way that makes us suffer. We like the way that makes us, go through the most difficult path, longest, to get where we should have arrived long ago. But that's our option too. Bottom line is, in the end, it all depends on us. There's nothing that's happening by mistake or because you're not a very lucky person. No, there's always a reason behind everything. Okay. All right, let's start to asking some important questions. If we have the answers or a plan, or if we have accomplished that, you can say, okay, I'm ready. I actually feel better. I actually feel that I have made progress. And I feel much happier than a year ago, because I worked on at least some of these, and I want to continue to work on these things so that I can be happy. And then it's all start by asking these questions. Who are we? Okay, it would be different if we were to live with a sense of eternity in mind, which is it's not very common. Perhaps it's common here, because you know better. But it's not common at all in this world to live with this sense of eternity. All we want is something for tomorrow, if not possible for today. Right? So we want to have patience, but right now. I want to have, I want to become more charitable, but right now. I want to, whatever we think in this life, we want right now. And we also want happiness right now. Why do I have to wait to be happy? Well, if we don't have the sense of eternity in mind, if we don't have that as a mindset, then you're never going to be happy in this world. Because you have to work for everything, be prepared to pay all your dues, and then one day feel happier. And incarnation by incarnation, you're going to continue that route until you are going to be actually happy. Okay, so we would not be so attached to material things. If we have this, I want to say long term, but it's eternal term, this is just a step. And we would, if we really believe in that and follow that thought, the things in this world here would lose its value. Of course, we need a lot of stuff to live here. We need to eat, drink, we need to have a roof. It's all fine. But for some people, the material world is a lot more important than anything else. So the question for us is going to come from Carl Jung, who had this. He is going. What he is trying to do here. Carl Jung is saying, every man should ask this question. Okay, men and women. Am I related to something infinite or not? So, think about it for a minute. If you are related or not to something infinite, and you're going to behave, think, love, everything you're going to do will vary a lot based on what your beliefs are, on what your values are. So he goes on and saying, if we knew that the only thing that matters is the infinite, we would lose interest for the futilities in all those goals sometimes we have that have no real importance. No real importance. If we really ask that question, am I related to something infinite? Why am I so attached to the material world? And then he goes on, it is only when we understand and feel that we have a connection with the infinite that our attitudes and desires change. No doubt about it. So you feel much more comfortable. Actually, there's this say, the shortest way, the quickest way for you to be happy is to be happy with what you have right now. Okay. So you don't have to wait for that lottery number. You don't have to wait for when you buy a new house. You don't have to wait for anything. You can be happy right now. So that's the shortest way. Okay. I'm not from his time, Balzac. But he said, am I a judge? This is a very important question. And the answer, his position is absolutely wonderful. He says, we frequently judge others based on ourselves. And we are complacent with them when their problems are the same as ours. Think about it for a minute. Of course, when I'm asking here, am I a judge? What's behind this is there's no point in judging anybody. Okay? But then Balzac is saying this. We tend to be complacent with others when their problems are just like ours. Let's say, for example, you like to drink. And your wife, of course, doesn't appreciate that very much. And one day, your wife comes to you and says, did you see that? Our neighbor started to drink. And then you're going to say, what's the problem? Drink is good. Because you have the same problem. Right? Now, we severely condemn them for not having our qualities. So, while you have the same problem that I do, you are the best in the world. Okay? But if you miss one of my qualities, then you're in trouble. So, think about it when we are judging others. We are not prepared to judge anybody. But if you insist in judging, what do you have to judge? What power do we have to judge? That's crossing my mind here, maybe, 4 years ago, when the Pope was against all these questions about gay and lesbians, and he was on an aeroplane, and somebody came to him and said, if a guy, if a person that says he's gay wants to come to you or wants to come to the church, what do you have to say? And he said, hey, if a person who says he's gay wants to get closer to God, who am I to judge? So, think about it. Who are we to judge? Am I anxious? Nobody, right? So, this is very rare nowadays, particularly after elections, etc. Okay, but it's very important. So if you are very anxious, chances are you're not really, let's say, happiness is just a step away or a click away or whatever, but you're so anxious you cannot see it. That's it. So Victor Hugo, who also wrote to us as a spirit, but he wrote a lot before that, he says, the future is a ghost with empty hands, which promises everything, even though it does not have anything. So that's a very interesting way to put it. The future, you say, when you look, you have this ability, this funny ability to look into the future and see a lot of things. You can see yourself in a boat, you can see yourself on the clouds, you can see yourself in a new position, or retired, or new car. You see those things. But then, actually, it's all illusion. There's no future yet. So, then I guess Victor Hugo was saying, it's this ghost with empty hands but promising a whole bunch of stuff and say, come, right? Jesus said, suffice to face each day's challenges. In the Sermon on the Mount, he says, don't you worry about your life, about what you will eat, or about what your body, or about what you're going to wear tonight. Isn't life more than food and body? And isn't body more than the clothing? Okay. So basically, it's we keep hearing the same thing, here and there and again, when they say we have to worry about today because tomorrow will come. God will give us. In practical terms, yes, we have to worry about tomorrow to the extent that we have a direction to go. We have a plan how to get there. But we cannot sacrifice the day of today. And we cannot lose this very moment. Because the future is made up with this very moment, what you are doing right now. And this is the look again saying, want to know about your future? Well, take a look at what you're doing today. And then you're going to have a good hint about what your future may be like. So you just, what kind of a life is you're living today? For what? What are the projects that you've been postponing? What are the steps that, or even worse than that, what are those bad instincts that you have to work on, but you procrastinate? So then you know what's going to be tomorrow. Am I living in the past? Okay, so it's another very important question we've got to ask ourselves if we want to be happier versus yesterday. So Brian Weiss, I bet some of you know him or heard about him, maybe even read some of his books, says ruminate the past and accumulate fears about the future are waste of mental, emotional, and spiritual energy. Okay, so let's go a little further so then we come back and think about it. So he's talking about keeping, reliving the past, all the time, and have these fears about the future that you don't know. Are we employing our energy correctly? Putting, are we investing in the right basket? Okay? Our past mistakes stem from an inaccurate perception of reality. And that could be our present mistakes as well. So here, the text goes past mistakes, but it could be today's mistakes. We are now more conscious about certain issues than we were in the past. Making mistakes is part of a human being learning process and development. The thing is that whenever we have to go back to the past, it's because you have some unfinished business related to the past that still bothers you. And then you keep ruminating that, meaning you keep coming back to that as if you could resolve that situation. When what it's doing to you is, number one, you're not in the present, you're not in the future. Great thing that you're not in the future, but you're missing the present times. But the other thing is, if you want to go back to the past, keep in mind that you may have done your best at the time. At the time. Whenever we say, oh, today I would not do that. No, from what I know today, I would have done something different. But just like you were saying, now you know better. And if you want to go back and judge yourself, what you did in the past, just for the sake of it, remember to reconstruct the context in which things happened as well. Who you were, your age, what were the pressures, what were the surroundings and the influences and everything else. But it's not a smart thing to live in the past. It is a smart thing to use the past as you need it, to look for the resources you used, what worked, what we didn't, where did you find the best way around, what are the things you need to avoid. So that's a good use of the past. Jesus, in his very last minute in the cross, he said, Father, forgive them because they don't know what they are doing. With this, Jesus wanted to teach us that all evil comes from ignorance. Right. So this is something so simply said and so difficult to live by, to understand, and to use it on a day-to-day, that even the most evil thing comes from ignorance. And of course, Buddha, for those that knows a little bit about Buddha, his whole thing, his forgot the name he does for it, this four pillar of his whole philosophy is based on the fact that what makes us suffer is ignorance. So, important thing here, don't be today what we were yesterday. So just if you do that, and every day you do, take a little step forward in the right direction, that's all that you need to do. Am I an optimistic person? There is this, first of all, if you're not optimistic, forget about happiness. No pessimistic person will ever be happy. You're so pessimistic that nothing's going to work for you, so you're not going to do anything. So the more you do, the worse it gets, right? And, I'm not even go out tonight because despite of all this weather forecast, I'm for sure I'm going to get a shower. Well, so if you are pessimistic, forget about happiness and find another good reason to live. And then there was this thing that being optimistic is like being blind to our reality. So the world is falling apart. And you come here and talk to me about being optimistic. Well, yes. Because otherwise, what are we going to do? Also, you don't have to fix the world. You only have to fix yourself. And we only have to worry about your progress while you are here. Right? And then for those that see my Facebook, yesterday morning I was really that mood, right? And then I wrote in there, well, I've been spending my life trying to prepare myself to go to heaven. But at this time, I'm going to prepare myself for hell. You too? Well, and then, of course, today, I'm not that pessimistic anymore. Say, you know what? I'm going to still have my way, and I'm still going to be able to do the things that I need to do for me and for those that I love. Okay? And I'm going to pray for the rest of you, but I still have my way. There's no lack of cosmic governance. Everything is perfectly in order. Although our limited ability to see it, leads us to believe that everything is upside down. The fact of the matter is, everything is happening as expected or as planned. I would say planned, not expected by us, of course, and not planned by us, but everything is in the right place. Okay? That brother, that, spouse, that neighbor, whatever is going on in your life, boss, finances, this or that, there's nothing wrong. Everything is on plan. I'll tell you why you want to believe in that. If you don't believe that, then you're going to have to believe that our destiny is out of control. That somebody at a higher level lost control over ourselves. And I'll tell you, it's not a good idea to think about that. We'd better believe God, Jesus, all the high spirits, they have us under control. Being optimistic or negative just reflects the way we see life. Yeah, I guess that's obvious. The pessimistic is always Oh, this is a good one. So if you're a pessimist, you're going to surround over yourself with what? Normally, not because it's, think about this, delay of attraction. So you're going to attract a lot of pessimistic people that think like you. So why would you attract a guy that doesn't think like you? You may attract him, but then 2 days later you kick him out because he's crazy. He's a lunatic. And so we surround ourselves with people like us. The way, people that think exactly the way we think. And if you're pessimistic, look around, you're going to find a lot of others. And they are helping you a lot in what you want, being very pessimistic, right? So being optimistic is seeing life beyond the challenges. It is seeing beyond the physical horizon. Okay, so no matter what you see here in this world, and if everything is where it's, is on plan, everything is under control. So, and if you don't find a reason to be optimistic based on what you see in this world, look further. Remember that thing, that the first slide? Out there where there's no wrongdoing, no right doing, meet me there. Do I love myself? Another very important question if you are candidates to be happy. Everybody here is candidate to happiness, to be happy?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. That's what I expected. Some are in doubt, I guess, right? Okay. All right, so many want to receive love, but are not good at giving love. And even less loving themselves. It always starts with self-love. So you have to learn how to love, and then you have to be willing to give love, and then you are prepared to receive love. Okay? And I think that's very clear, right? I mean, it's not the first time we're talking about it, you're hearing about it. Do you love yourself? Hint. Do you know yourself? Well, without self-discovery, it is almost impossible to love oneself. And of course, we have this tendency to look at us and have this vision, this negative vision about us. I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that, I'd never get there. So we start with this negative view of ourselves without even knowing ourselves. So what is it that's good about me? What are the things that I need that are not as good as it should be? What are the things that I need to work on? Is the way to go. Right? Accept yourself as you are. Think about yourself without blaming. Don't hurt yourself. If you want to love yourself, first you have to accept who you are. So then, if you don't accept who you are, why would you work on yourself? For what? For when? For whom? Right? So think about, without blaming, think about with self-compassion, saying, hey, at the end of the day, I have a lot to do yet, but hey, I know how to do it. I'm going to start. Do I forgive myself and others? First reason to practice forgiveness is none of us is perfect. So, sometimes I like to think that let's say we're 7 billion people in this planet, and we tend to judge everybody as imperfect, but don't accept the fact that they are. And if they do something against us, it's going to cost them something. So we are not perfect. We are subject to make a lot of mistakes, and we do. And some of us learn how to learn from mistakes and to use our lessons. And that's the way, we want to go, because I sometimes cannot imagine what would be of this world if God had not given the concept and the ability to forgive. Think about amongst yourselves, the couples in particular, the brothers. Can you live a life without forgiveness? No. Without acceptance, there's no forgiveness. Our relationships are much stronger and better when we accept each other, not much nagging, no real, unrealistic expectation, I should say. So, if you don't accept you, then there's no forgiveness. It's completely out of question. So, you were wrong, you're bad, and I'm not going to forgive you. So it's only when we understand each other as spirits that are growing, are in a learning curve, are trying our best to learn new lessons every day and to get better every day, that then we can look at each other and say, I understand. And forgiveness, is very liberating. So if you think about how long it takes sometimes for you to forgive somebody, and while you are in that process not forgiving, you are carrying a huge, heavy weight. Every time something happens that reminds you of that person, okay, so this is a good time for me to give my body a big dose of cortisol, those adrenaline. So, why not eliminate that? So, Divaldo Franco says, forgiveness is always better for the forgiving person. Like we just said, and if somebody offended you, it is his problem. Because this is the thing to think. So, yeah, I've seen, I see that you're trying to offend me. But I'm not going to give you permission to do that. So don't let yourself get contaminated by this poison, grudges, hatred. It's like, you poison yourself and expect the other one to die. Of course, you heard that many times. But more than that, you poison yourself and expect your life to be good, that you're going to have a great day. Who is Jesus for you? We're getting to a close here. Come to me, all of you who suffer and feel overwhelmed, and I will alleviate you. You heard that. That's in the Sermon on the Mountain. In talking with his disciples, Jesus asked them, who am I for you? And then, of course, everybody went off the tangent or some close enough, etc., to what's his name again? Well, he's Pedro, okay? Peter gave him the answer he was looking for, and according to Jesus, was inspired by God. And for us, the thing is, Jesus still asks that question. What am I for? What am I in your life? Right? It would be great if we took Jesus from the cross, from the books, from the Bible, from history, and put him in our lives. And that would change everything. Right? All right, no fear, be happy. The essential, and then we're done. So I have to have faith, because without faith, you're not going to be happy. Because you need to have that sense of, yes, I can. It is possible. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to get there. You have to have conscious resignation. Everybody knows about resignation. So, oh yeah, this is coming from God. I'm going to, yeah, okay. No, that's not resignation. It's, checking the box doesn't work. You have to have this feeling inside of you that you're accepting the challenge. You're accepting that suffering. You're accepting that you have to go through that. And do it in a way that counts. There's no check in the box. But also, conscious resignation relieves your pain. Lip resignation doesn't. That's the difference. Hope, fundamental. The first thing we try to, if you're talking to somebody in your neighborhood or at home and that is having a problem, first try to give him a little bit more of hope, and he's going to change immediately. If you do a good job, and if you instill hope, the person's, it's like injecting something in his vein that makes him more powerful. Humility. That is another one. It's very difficult for you to be happy if you are arrogant, for example, if you're narcissistic, and other things where you are not living your life. So you want that life that you created to be happy, and that's not a possibility. Study and work. Have to get more knowledge every day. Like here, if you take, if everything that I'm telling you, 1% is good, so that 1% might make a difference. And it may lead you to more research or look for additional information about that. And work. Okay, that's coming from actually Joanna de Angelis. She makes this metaphor with a bird. A bird needs two wings to fly, right? And say, putting it in our terms, if you want to fly, you need those two wings. One is study, knowledge, learn, and then work. Implementing them, making them work for you. Detached from materialism. So we are in this big, long journey that goes from materialism to spiritualism. So, the closer you are to the material world, the farthest you are from heaven, for example. Love and self-love. So, I cannot, I'll never stop talking about self-love in particular. Sound relationships. It's where, of course, we're not here to make ourselves happy like as if you could do it by living in a cavern, for example, right? We can only progress and be happy by working with somebody else, by sharing, by loving our neighbor, your spouse, your brothers, your parents, and so on and so forth. There's no way you can get any better at all or happier at all alone. So, last one. That's very, very profound. I want you to think about it. God sent only one pure spirit to planet Earth, and you know who that is. And not even one who wouldn't have to suffer in this world. So, you were not the only one suffering. You were not being, punished or anything. This is part of it. And even Jesus had to suffer. With that, have a great weekend and then a great week. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.